Welcome back to Harbor. Will Republicans be blasted with questions from the birther crowd when they go home next month? What will these elected officials say to their constituents? Will they shout them down as nuts, or will they keep throwing them the peanuts? Mike Stark is a blogger for the Huffington Post. He took a camera to Capitol Hill the other day to get some questions answered. How many Republicans in Congress really think whether the president is not a natural-born citizen? Well, check out, here's his blog.
What do you believe, personally?
I'd like to see the documents.
So you're kind of afraid to be lunatic fringe base?
Well, it's certainly being looked at.
What do you personally believe, though? I mean, do you think there's a question here?
I think there are questions. We'll have to see.
You do believe there are questions. That's good enough. Thanks very much. We're on the Hill asking Republicans if they believe Barack Obama was born in the United States. It doesn't matter to you? But you swore an oath to uphold the Constitution.
That's a question he needs to answer. Not me. If he says he is,
you can tell me what you think. You can tell me what you think. Do you think he was?
Well, he was my U.S. senator, so he said he was, so I believe he was.
Newsweek's Howard Fineman is an MSNBC political analyst, and Ken Vogel's with the Politico. Howard, you first. Why do Republicans stutter when asked whether Barack Obama is a Republican? I mean, I'm sorry, if he's American.
No, well, they're stuttering because, as you pointed out in the introduction, Chris, their nightmare is to go back home for the August recess, where they would like to spend the time attacking Barack Obama's health care plan and other things, and have to spend all their time at the meetings talking about whether Barack Obama has a legitimate birth certificate or not. The White House claims they think this story is beneath them. They think it's an outrage. But when Robert Gibbs was asked about it at the briefing today, which I attended, he lamented it, but he answered it. So I think the White House is sort of looking forward to the prospect of the Republicans having to deal with this when they go home.
Well, here's Gibbs right now. Let's listen to him. Here's how he handled it.
And I almost hate to indulge in such an august setting as the White House, and I mean this in seriousness, the White House briefing room discussing the made-up fictional nonsense of whether or not the president was born in this country. If I had some DNA, it wouldn't assuage those that don't believe he was born here. But I have news for them and for all of us. The president was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, the 50th state of the greatest country on the face of the earth. Because for $15, you can get an internet address and say whatever you want.
Ken Vogel, why do these people, not just a dozen or so who have backed this thing in legislation, who are pushing for some sort of resolution with regard to this? We've got a new guy out there basically saying he wants a resolution on something else. But here's the one. We got Neil Abercrombie from Hawaii, who's a Democrat, who wants to honor the state out there by also throwing in the fact that the President of the United States was born in Hawaii. So clearly the battle's been joined here. Is this real?
Well, it was real during the campaign, and I thought the Obama campaign did a very effective job of undercutting it during the campaign by producing these documents. Hey, if these documents don't answer the questions of folks on the right or the libertarian fringe who still continue to insist that Obama is not a natural-born citizen, nothing will satisfy them. And I agree with Howard that the White House would like nothing better than for Republicans to go back to their districts during the August recess and have their constituents ask them about this, because that means they won't be asking them about, Obama's health care plan or the cap and trade bill, things that the White House would really like to get through without having a huge public debate over.
You know, the hardest thing, it would seem to me, if I were a doubter, and I tend to be a doubter on other things, Howard, is to doubt, well, why would I question a birth announcement that was put in the newspapers at the time he was born in Hawaii with his street address and everything? We're looking at it right now. Why would anybody have such an announcement made except that they're planning for their kid just born to be president, because they're automatically a citizen if their mom's a citizen? So there's only one goal here, to be able to lay the groundwork for some sort of Manchurian candidate presidency.
Well, Chris, this isn't
really... And that
really...
is a full mooner theory, by the way, to anybody who thinks like that.
This isn't really about facts, it's about emotion. And I can tell you from having, for example, covered one of the Tea Party events down in Kentucky, where I began as a reporter back in April, those same people that I saw there, some of them, the people who are worrying about the government taking up the guns, the people who deny that the federal government has a right to tax your income, the people who are worried about being overrun at the borders, the people who are worried about the rights of the NRA and so forth. A lot of those same rejectionist front, if you will, are out there looking for a reason to find a conspiracy in the presidency of Barack Obama. There are just enough annoying little bureaucratic details that they can seize on, having to do with the original birth certificate, et cetera, which are all legally and factually beside the point. But there are enough of them that allows the people on the fringes of the party to do what they're going to do. And you know, when the river is low, the riverbed is exposed. The river is low in the Republican Party right now, and you're seeing the rocks at the bottom.
Well, I can't wait till somebody hits the question to, or brings the question to Sarah Palin. And maybe that's bringing coal to Newcastle. But, I mean, I assume she will give something of a stutter as an answer. Here's, by the way, what are your thoughts, Ken? I haven't had you on the show lately, so I want to get your DNA here. You know, they have something called the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Test, which tests your sort of temperament. And I remember taking the test to be an RA in grad school, and they ask you questions, but do you like tennis or baseball, that kind of thing? Do you rather play chess, an indoor thing, or go outside, whatever? And then right in the middle of it, they say things like, is someone chasing you right now? And is someone trying to kill you? They intersperse those questions to catch the full mooners. I think a lot of these people who believe this stuff will say yes. Because if you believe this, you probably believe the worst. What are your thoughts? Are we talking psychological problems here with people, or what?
I don't know. I mean, there are people who are certainly prone to embrace conspiracy theories. We see it with the idea that 9/11 was an inside job. We see it with the idea that the Bilderberg Group meeting every year is, in fact, a global international banking cabal designed to institute a world government. And it just so happens that a lot of the folks who believe those things also believe the rest of them. And what Howard said is true. I mean, there are enough of them, particularly in the Internet age, where they can be something of a force in politics. And one that Republicans have to watch out for, because they will drag them down into this, you know, sort of marginal path.
Ken, I'm falling in love. You are great. You've reminded me of all the erogenous zones of insanity in one sentence of free thinking there. Your stream of consciousness has picked up on the idea that George W. Bush was sitting in the White House basement with a plunger as he blew up the World Trade Centers with his uncanny ability to get away with murder.
Chris.
Yes,
but look,
Howard.
These people give a lot of money. Ron Paul's campaign showed that. There are folks who embrace these conspiracy theories and have an innate distrust of the federal government, and they can be a force in politics in the Internet age, but Republicans have to be careful they don't cater too much to them, otherwise they marginalize themselves in the mainstream debates.
Ron Paul has a lot of appeal as a libertarian. But go ahead, Howard, last thought.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the White House is not unhappy that this is happening. My ears perk up whenever a politician or a spokesman denies something he hasn't been accused of. Robert Gibbs said, I'm being perfectly serious here about this, and, you know, and I almost don't want to talk about it, but I will. But I would caution the White House not to be too cute by half about this stuff. I mean, they think they can do a controlled burn on this, to mix my metaphors.
Do they have a document to show to trump this in the end if they have to, if it does become a wildfire?
Look, the document that they already have trumps it, in the sense that the certification of birth is a valid document that proves his birth in Hawaii at that time. That's what you've been showing on the air. Now, there's a dispute over something called the certification of live birth. Does it still exist or not? Were they all put on microfilm after 2001, were they destroyed after 2001? It doesn't matter. He was born in Hawaii, and there's legal proof to show so. But what I'm saying is, if the White House really wanted to shut it off in a forceful manner, you know, they could, number one, deny to answer the questions anymore. The fact that Gibbs was willing to talk about it in the press room today is interesting in and of itself. Yeah. Or they could do something out in Hawaii if they wanted to. But the Democrats see an opportunity in this now, which is why Neil Lambert-Crombie put that new resolution out there on the floor of the House.
Great talking to you, Howard. Thanks always, as always. And Ken, welcome to the show.